why are people like that? So today I want to address the part where um, maybe sometimes we may notice that other people are doing things that we question why they're doing such a thing. So maybe they are criticizing us, or they may be withholding love, or sometimes they may do things. For example, if let's say they are put into a situation where they really should be speaking up for themselves, and no matter how much you tell them they need to speak up for themselves, they just can't. So all of these things we may question why they are that way. And so what I want to talk about is a concept of arrested development. And it is a concept introduced to me by my coach Sean Smith. Basically what that is that if we follow the person's past, we could trace their behaviors back to a point in their youth where something had happened, and they became and they found a way to cope with the situation. So for example, if let's say someone's parents is always yelling at them, hitting them while they're growing up, then they may develop tendencies to people please, to make sure that they don't get hurt. Or if let's say someone's always yelling, it's because when they were younger, maybe they have not been hurt by other people, but when they start yelling and screaming, they got their way. So then they kind of develop such a tendency to use these tactics to continue on with their lives. And so what does it mean by arrested development? Okay. Arrested development means if you trace their past back to that moment in time, at that age, whatever that had happened, if they didn't understand about it or they were not aware of it, then the behaviors would constantly be repeating again and again, because that behavior gave them some sort of safety, was their way of coping. And so this is kind of what happened to the point where they they are acting over and over again as if they were, maybe something happened when they were 5 years old, then they would keep acting as a 5-year-old. So even though physically they have aged, they were still acting like that 5-year-old. And so that is why when we ask the question why, it doesn't really help with the situation, because when we come from a conflict, why is that person doing this thing, there is always a reason. And so the point is, it doesn't matter what the reason is. What matters is, what do you want to do about it? Because if you trace your behaviors back to your old past self, there are also some things in your life that maybe you have been arrested at um, in your developmental stage. So for example, for me, when I was 8 and 9 years old, when my mom was studying with me, all she did was hitting me if I give the wrong answer. So sometimes I feel very guarded when I do one-to-one conversations with people, especially if, let's say, I have to showcase things or like ask for things or present things, and I have to really work hard in this area to heal myself so that I am brave enough to share my point of view even when other people don't agree with me, because I don't want to get hurt. So my unconscious self is kind of like, why are you doing that? Don't do that, because you may get hurt again. And sometimes what happens is, because I had that traumatic experience, so then if I wasn't aware of it, then I may start seeing people as as very highly critical of me. So for example, if let's say I'm in conversation with someone, then if someone says something that does not agree with my point of view, I'll be like, yep, see, they're also criticizing me, judging me, and I will keep finding evidence to confirm my belief. And so I have to to go back to that age, to work through that, to heal through that, so then I can move on from that point in time to see that, hey, that's not true, give myself the evidence to heal myself. So what we're doing here is to see, okay, well, I had this trauma and I'm having trouble with dealing with this person. So what is my lesson? How can I learn from this situation? Because here's the thing, it doesn't matter why the other person is doing whatever that they're doing. If they are not keen on changing or they have no desire to change, we cannot change them. The only way for us to change is ourselves. And so if we want a better relationship or we want to respect ourselves more, then we have to do the work to make that happen. And so that's why I wanted to share this with you today, as to asking the question, why doesn't really help. So I hope it makes sense, and that's all I have for today. Until next time.